You're watching We All Be News Radio, News Free Dixie for the 21st century. I'm Thaddeus Matthews.
Guess who's back? Back again. Ronald's back. Tell a friend. Guess who's back? 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 And guess who's still black? It's brother Ron. It's brother Ron. It's brother Ron, and brother Ron is on because it's We All Be TV, news free Dixie for the 21st century. This is We All Be news free Dixie for the 21st century. Ow, ow, wow, wow, wow. Welcome, everybody, to another wonderful, edutaining edition of We All Be TV. News free, or you call it We All Be News, because we do TV and radio and blogs and all that stuff, man. News free Dixie for the 21st century. I'm your host for this empowerment segment, brother Ron, also known as R2C2H2, the artivist. So I just went ahead. I'm gonna do a live tonight because I got a lot of amazing feedback from the last live we did Friday night, Saturday morning. Thank y'all for the support and donations. Keep them coming in. Got to pay this car note, this rent, and I treated the city to an amazing night of entertainment, of education, of edutainment, of legacy, of self-respect, of knowledge of self. We had the 2022 Jimmy Lunsford Jimmery Festivals Jimmy Lunsford Legacy Award. So we had a whole week of activities trying to give a black man his rightful due in the city of good abode. That's Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis 10 toes down, man. So we did that. We actually succeeded or just superseded all expectations. Over 1,000 plus people from around the country even came out to show their support for this program, for this movement we're doing. I think we got to be about solution oriented. It ain't all about canceling and taking stuff down. We got to be about the resurrection of things as well too. We got to resurrect some things, remember ancestral memory, and really honor the righteous ancestors, because a lot of times we get the message conflicted when we try to do things. We forget about the folks that actually dedicated their lives to empowering not only themselves but their people. And we tend to focus on folks. I mean, no disrespect. I mean, you're nobody till somebody murks you. You know, so many people that we like talking about, you know, talk about, you know, Breonna Taylor said, what about Alberta Odell Jones? A pioneering black woman, freedom fighter for her people, a lawyer who was a real social engineer in terms of breaking down walls, of knocking Jim Crow on his butt in Louisville, helping to integrate Louisville, helping to organize the 1963 March on Washington, helping Muhammad Ali, then known as Cassius Clay, to get a contract that would be fair to him with the so-called white supergroup known as the Louisville Group. She was Cassius Clay's lawyer, and she was taken out of here, assassinated, murked, thrown into the river. Case still unsolved. And we don't even talk about Alberta Odell Jones. We should be talking about Alberta Odell Jones as much as we talk about Breonna Taylor. God bless the dead. But I'm saying, well, we don't really honor those people who kick down these doors, who do it at an expense to their personal lives until they really their lives. We don't talk about these people too much, and we need to put some respect on their names. So we got to understand and understand where we at right now, because a lot of y'all cats, y'all up here, like I said, I wish some of us would just hold our horses when it comes to critiquing people in real time, because they didn't really appreciate Muhammad Ali when he was doing in his prime. You know, he sacrificed a lot. A lot of cats don't understand what Kyrie Irving is doing in his prime. A lot of cats don't understand what Kanye West is doing in their prime. They're making a safe space for Black folks to express themselves, all right? But they're paying the cost to do that. So I'm really conflicted about people. Like, y'all love for celebrities allegedly to speak out, but when they speak out and they're losing sponsors and advertisements and contracts, y'all still don't think that's enough. Y'all still think it's gimmicky and whatnot. You know, we only talk about Paul Robeson. Paul Robeson had his career destroyed, had his life destroyed, standing up for Black people, standing up for the dispossessed, the marginalized, those people made invisible. And a lot of y'all cats don't have no understanding, let alone understanding who Paul Robeson was. Paul Robeson, one of the great football players of all time. He was one of the first Black All-American football players. He also started in the NFL. He was a lawyer, head of his class, a brilliant man, could speak over 20 different languages fluently, was one of the greatest singing voices of all time. But he he just gave it all away to help his people. He was, they took his passport away from him back in the 50s. They tried to kill him over in Russia. Maybe CIA gave him some stuff and he almost jumped out of the window, something like that. Let's look this stuff up. But like Malcolm X learned how to do public speaking by listening to Paul Robeson. That's how he learned how to do public speaking, by listening to Paul Robeson on the radio or whatnot. Paul Robeson was one of the giants of our people, and we don't even pay proper respect to mention his name from time to time. And that's why I got to do what I'm doing, because y'all missed the whole point. Y'all into sensationalism. I'm trying to give y'all some historical context that needs to be talked about in real time, so I can understand what's going on. Y'all, it's very much anti-Kemetic. It's an anti-Kemetic time. Let's make that a popular hashtag. Anti-Kemetic. Anti-Kemetic times we're living in. Y'all, we as a people too busy being a reactionary. I don't care about Twitter. I want people to have free speech. I don't want them to censor me. So why would I censor somebody else? I think everybody should be able to hear their voice amplified, and people should have a real choice about what they want to consume as far as their mental diet is concerned. As far as ideology, we need options on the table. We need options in social media. So all this silence, and y'all can do a quick Google search while you still can. Y'all mad at Kyrie. You say he costing the bag. What's a bag when they won't allow you enough time to spend your bag? What's a bag they could give to you? They could take it any time for whatever reason. Really, that defies logic. So what's a bag with some dead slave owners on it? What's a bag, man? See, we all slaves. So I would tell people, listen to Kanye West's New Slaves again. Did Kanye West say he wasn't a slave? No, Kanye West been open over the past about his addiction to so-called porn and other things. We all got addictions. We all got fetishes and vices, which is called being human. We're all gods living a human experience, right? Human. So you manifest your reality. Words create worlds, right? So I just want to talk about the Kanye thing. Kyrie, blessed to him. May the righteous ancestors continue to protect that brother. He's standing on his square. He knows his moral compass. A lot of y'all still confused about what's right and wrong for you. Y'all still want to go with the groupthink mentality when it comes to liberation. And really, quite frankly, freedom ain't free. Never been, never will be. And freedom has no safety net. So whatever y'all think is freedom and all this stuff ain't really free. We are slaves to these options that the system allows us to have, or they want you to think that you have. You have no options, really. You have choices between what they want you to have. Choice is an illusion. And it's kind of weird, ain't it? And the choices are illusions, because if you don't have enough information available to make a choice that's in your best interest, when you don't understand or understand, you're being programmed by the powers that be to go along, to get along, with you having nothing to show for it at the end of your life, then you, my friend, are a slave. And it costs to be free. Really free. But Paul Robeson, like Dizzy Gillespie said in his autobiography, they did him worse than Malcolm X and Dr. King, because at least they put a bullet in them to end their misery. They just torture Paul Robeson for decades. And yet people don't even talk about him on a consistent basis. I mean, The same love y'all showed the George Floyd, you need to be showing to Paul Robeson. You need to be showing the sister Alberta Odell Jones, the lawyer for Cassius Clay. This woman was beaten, murdered, and thrown off a bridge in Louisville. As much as y'all talk about Breonna Taylor, you need to mention that ancestor, that righteous ancestor name. I mean, we got to have as much enthusiasm for the folks that's actually dedicating themselves to the liberation and the empowerment of their people while they was walking the earth. You know, Medgar Evers' wife, Marilyn Evers, talked about when Medgar was killed before the family, how the group of people she was most upset with was not the white man who took his life, but the black people. She was upset how black folks treated Medgar in life. You know, in Jackson, they love Medgar Evers, right? But when he was walking around downtown Jackson, you had black folks that would actually cross the street to get away from Medgar Evers. That's why he died alone, because we didn't have enough people supporting him when he needed support. The NAACP, he's the field secretary for the NAACP down in Mississippi. He requested that he had security, that he had bodyguards, because his life was in danger. He was working in Mississippi basically by himself in them backwoods. No, he's the guy that helped with the Emmett Till investigation. And I want y'all to understand this. All these TV shows and movies about the Emmett Till situation, I'm glad they're doing it, but you're not going to get the whole truth about all the people that were involved, the sacrifices that were made, and all this other stuff. So I encourage you all to do your own research. Just don't take my word as the final word on anything. I'm provoking thought. I'm a thought provocateur. I provoke thought. So I want y'all to consume as much good info as you can while you can, and take this opportunity. But she was upset with the black folks. You know, when Malcolm got killed at the Audubon, a black church had a dance right after Malcolm was shot before his family and followers at the Audubon. The crime scene wasn't even secured. They actually had a church dance after Malcolm was shot and killed and murked in front of all their people. Black lives, do they matter to black people? Do black heroes and black shero lives matter to black people? Therein lies the question. Therein lies the question. You got to understand where we stand in this time of confusion and chaos, all designed by the system to confuse you, to consume you. Because we all really, if you think about it, we all are blood sacrifices. We're all blood sacrifices. Some big, some small, but if you are paying taxes in a system that does not respect your humanity and your full potential as a human being to effect positive change, if they do not invest in your life, but they claim they're pro-life, then we all slaves. Slavery by another name. Because the 13th Amendment never abolished slavery. So, yeah, we talk about Joe Louis, because Joe Louis, see, you know, Muhammad Ali, people thought Muhammad Ali was crazy. They said, well, Muhammad, they ain't going to have you fighting on the front lines. You're just going to do boxing exhibitions. Oh, well, that's what Joe Louis did. He didn't fight on the front lines, but he was a patriot. He did boxing exhibitions, giving away free boxing tickets, giving $1 million purse to the government. And then what did they do? They sent the IRS after him to destroy that man. So really, Joe Louis was a zombie for the last couple of decades of his life. The IRS destroyed this man. And if FDR, Franklin Roosevelt, had the nerves to say, well, Joe Louis, you use these fists to fight for democracy and for liberation, for patriotism, and the country that he pledged allegiance to, they did him dirty. So why would Muhammad Ali go along with what y'all want him to do, the okie doke, when he saw what they did to Joe Louis, and then they had the nerve to try to pit Joe Louis against Muhammad Ali? So y'all don't get the full story. Y'all too busy letting ESPN and HBO and everybody tell these narratives that you could really easily access by just doing your own research. Because they're not telling you the whole truth. Joe Louis loved this country. I mean, Joe Louis was functional illiterate at one point. I don't even think he learned how to read or write. But Joe Louis was trying to give money back to the government. He didn't believe in welfare. No, he was like a conservative. A lot of black folks were conservative back then. He believed in pulling yourself up by the bootstraps. He would have been like a Booker T. Washington dude. Matter of fact, Joe Lewis was born in Alabama, if I'm not mistaken, but he's from Detroit, right? So I always say like Rita Franklin was born in Memphis, but she's from Detroit. Okay, that's how I differentiate. Because people say, well, Young Dolph, he ain't from Memphis. He was born in Chicago, but he is from Memphis. So y'all keep on thinking, like it was what Rakim said. It ain't where you from, it's where you at. Okay, so they screwed over Joe Lewis. So why would Muhammad Ali just go along? And he didn't start having problems with the government until he got rid of the Louisville group, the white businessman that oversaw his career, that controlled the purse strings, that they were Muhammad Ali's puppeteers. Is when he got with the Nation of Islam that all his problems start happening in terms of the issues with the government and all that stuff. Because they didn't try to go for him in a draft when he was with the Louisville group. Now, even Muhammad Ali had enough sense to see why I'm having all these problems now. I didn't have these problems when I was with these white businessmen from Louisville. Now all of a sudden, it's like with Kanye. I mean, Kanye had to cut the purse strings, whatever. Y'all think he committed suicide? Nah, he's resurrected himself. Y'all keep on talking about Donda West. He's still recovering. Y'all don't have no understanding what it is to really have a blueprint, to really understand how to invest in people, to plan for succession. Y'all still stuck in the mindset where y'all want a Malcolm X or a Dr. King or Fred Hampton or a Jesus figure to come save you from yourself. You got to save you from yourself. You have no backup coming. The cavalry is not coming unless you are a part of that cavalry that's going to rescue yourself. There's no way. Y'all keep on talking about, see, the people, I figured it out, that the people that hold us responsible and accountable for our action and thoughts and for our potential, we hate them. We hate their guts. We despise Ida B. Wells. We despise Medgar Evers. We despise Dr. King. We despise Malcolm X. Well, regardless of their flaws, y'all keep on telling me, well, they did this and that. They're human. Everybody, if you're a human, you're going to have some flaws. I mean, y'all get caught up in the mailman. I tell you about the mailman theory. I don't care if your mailman is a crackhead. I don't care if your mailman is a degenerate or whatever, gambling addict, drug addict. The mailman, his only job as far as being a mailman is to deliver your mail. So why are you concerned about the mailman when the message you need to receive is in your mailbox? So why follow the mailman on his route? I mean, y'all, this is just really is weird that black folks so obsessed with people's personal private lives. I don't care. I mean, it's older black people, really this juvenile state of arrested development, don't understand nothing about politics. They think every answer in politics is vote, vote, vote. It's like they think every answer in black history is Rosa Parks, Dr. King. So this is where we at. So I don't really like to talk to olders, not elders, but olders in the community about politics because they have no clue about how nothing works. And they're proud to be willfully ignorant about a lot of things. They had a long time of living and they have gotten benefits from living. And yet they tell us, oh man, y'all got to toughen up and man up. Okay. But at the same time, you didn't have to deal with student loan debt back in the day. You understand? You was able to be active. You was able to take on all this stuff, the man, and fight the power because you didn't have no student loan debt. It was trying to crush your neck like George Floyd. I remember I had talked to Jeffrey Haas, this Jewish guy from Atlanta, but he was a lawyer that started the People's Law Office in Chicago. He was friends with Fred Hampton Sr. He wrote a book about the murder of Fred Hampton, and I interviewed him. And he said, Ron, the reason why we was able to take on these cases and represent the grassroots was because we didn't have to worry about student loan debt. We had no debt. We was able to just find ourselves and try and discover our purpose and voice. Now, as soon as you get out of school, instead of going into your career of choice or what you study for, you got to go be an Uber or Lyft driver. What's the point? Then you look at somebody like Kanye. Y'all say he crazy, but he dropped out of school and became a billionaire. Y'all do know that Bill Gates dropped out of school too, and Steve Jobs, and they became billionaires, but Kanye didn't have the investment or resources that a Steve Jobs or Bill Gates had. You know who Bill Gates' people are, right? You know who his mom and dad is, right? Like Jeff Bezos. You know who his people are, right? Kanye didn't have that. He's the rose that grew from concrete. So now we're approaching the anniversary of his mom's untimely death, Dr. Dunda West. She passed away November 10th, 2007. The result of a botched surgery, allegedly. A woman that brilliant to raise a son like she has, and she was insecure about her looks because you go to Hollywood, going to Los Angeles in general, and Hollywood in particular, it will make you insecure about your look. Even the homeless people look glamorous in some cases in Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? I went to LA twice. The women look, you know what I'm saying? Everybody's sculpted. Not everybody, but I'm saying it's a world of make-believe, right? It will make you feel insecure no matter how brilliant you are. Because we all deal with insecurities. So it's unfortunate that we lost Dunda West. But I'm just tired of hearing people say, well, Kanye ain't never been the same. He lost his mom, he never recovered. You don't recover from losing your parents. I don't believe. I haven't lost anybody, knock on wood, longevity, knock on laptop for my mom and all that stuff. But his mom was raising a revolutionary. His mom was raising a revolutionary. Just like I finished the core. Even though you was a crack fiend, mama, you always was a black queen, mama. She was raising a revolutionary. And like what Dr. John Henry Clark said, you got to bury the man and continue to plan. You got to bury the woman and continue to plan. So Dunda West raised her son to do what he's doing now. And I want to read a quote from Dunda West. God bless the dead. Let's resurrect Dunda West. Let's celebrate this woman for making this amazing black man, along with his father as well. Because y'all don't want to give black dads any type of credit, because black dads do matter. But I just want to read a quote from Sister Dunda. And thank you all for donating. I'm not reading the comments right now. I'll be in my zone. I'll be freestyling on this PAL microphone. So I don't plan out anything like a lot of people are playing. Oh, yeah, let me make a correction. I said that the Thelonious Monk, he is a Libra, but he wasn't born October 12th. I was thinking about Dick Gregory. He was born October 10th. But he was born way before Dick. But I want to say he was born October 10th, 1917 in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. But let me read what she said about her great son. She said she was also a firm defender of her son's controversial comments. West stated that she trained her son for greatness. There is no room for shyness. I raised him that way to think critically and analytically and not be afraid to voice what you feel. I helped shape that. I helped shape that. I think leaders are people who must do that. And she helped run she was chief executive of West Brands, the parent company of her son's business, right? And also, I mean, she's a brilliant woman. She taught at Chicago State University for about 27 years, including 24 as head of the Department of English, Communications, Media, and Theater. Let me read that last part. West spent 27 years at Chicago State, including 24 as head of the Department of English, Communications, Media, and Theater. So that's why Kanye is such a marketing genius, because he get it from his mama. He get it from his mama. Dear mama, she trained that man to be what he is. He's like a mad scientist in a lab, which is called Earth, the world. But she trained him to do what he's doing, because y'all think Kanye is not sophisticated, that he's uncouth, that he's unrefined. Brilliant people, real brilliant people, are always unrefined. Einstein used to wear pajamas, never comb his hair. He'll go to a formal and still get laid. Because Einstein overstand what Kanye overstand. If you got substance, if you believe in yourself, if you got some swagger, you get whatever you want to get, regardless of how you look. Biggie understood that. You got to have confidence in yourself. A lot of us don't have any confidence. Y'all have more confidence Dallas Cowboys going to win the Super Bowl than you are and doing what you want to do, make your dreams real. So Kanye understands the media game because he got it from his mama. She taught him that way. And, and Dr. Dunder West trained the guys, end up mentoring or being Jagners for Kanye in music production. So for everybody to say, well, he ain't get over. No, you don't get over losses, man. Life is all about being a good loser. Y'all do understand that you lose at the end, right? That you got to die, allegedly. I don't know. Maybe some vampires out there. Maybe some folks that know the keys to immortality. But life is all about losing and being a good loser. You want to be a great winner, learn how to lose. Accept losing. Because when you lose, you gain other things. When you lose, you gain certain insights. When Stevie Wonder lost his vision, he gained a better ear. He could distinguish between a penny dropping versus a dime or a quarter dropping to the ground. So other things become enhanced. But learning how to make your deficits or your liabilities into assets, that takes mastery. That takes mastery, because what people don't understand that I'm now learning, you can never fail unless you stop trying. That's anything. And really, quite frankly, being determined, having willpower. Because I said Kanye was not born with a silver spoon in his mouth. He did not have the Bill Gates lifestyle growing up, or Jeff Bezos or Steve Jobs. He didn't have the resources these guys had, but yet he was able to get into them rooms with them same dudes. He got it from the mud. He's the rose that grew from concrete. And this is not even hero worship. It's like I'm giving him his due, because we don't give ourselves enough credit for doing what we do. And then a person show you how to do it, y'all resent that person because you want somebody to babysit you, or you want somebody to sacrifice themselves for your sins. You don't want to be accountable for anything that relates to your life being a certain way. I'm in an age, man, I'm not impressed with rallies and marches and sing-alongs. I mean, use that money for something else. Invest in yourself, invest in your local community. That's where all real power resides, at the local level. It's not at the national level at all. And I'm not knocking nobody, but the same folks, they think that, they also think that Kanye is an idiot. And he's not an idiot. We can all agree to disagree, but the way he moves, I don't know what it is to have billions of dollars the way he's moving. I don't know what it is to have access to somebody like Elon Musk, who also was born with a silver spoon. And y'all so impressed with Elon Musk. First of all, he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, and then the government gives him tax-free money. They give him all type of grants and stuff, billions of dollars from the government. But yet y'all complain about a person getting a couple thousand off of welfare. Y'all mad at the person and living in Section 8 where the government subsidizes these corporations. Read Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations. Corporations ain't supposed to be forever and ever, ever, and ever, ever. It's supposed to be a limitation on corporations. Like, for example, had that bridge fall down overseas, whatever. But, you say, I want to build a bridge. Let's start a corporation. Once the job is completed, you dissolve said corporations, according to Adam Smith, Wealth of Nations. We had reinventions of capitalism. The capitalism has been reinvented several times, even during my lifetime, and I've only been around for 42 years. So what I'm saying is, back up off the Kanye stuff. If you are, and be nuanced. If you call yourself New Black Media, be nuanced in how you present this, brother. He already getting piled on. And what people don't want to tell you is that if he really was crazy, nobody would pay attention. If he really was insane, they won't be trying to counsel him, because you allow a person to hang themselves in that case. You don't need nobody to censor nobody if this person is a verifiable lunatic. But it's dangerous to be a free thinker. Now, he never said he wasn't a slave. He's addicted to retail when all falls down, and he's a human addicted to porn and all this other stuff. I mean, what it is. We all got our little demons, But what I'm saying is, stop all this emotionalism. Every time this man tweets something, it shouldn't destroy your day or week or year. I mean, it starts. We all have said things that were embarrassing, that were disrespectful, that was silly, but that's part of being a human. So, yeah, y'all use Dr. Donna West. Dr. Donna West knew she was raising a hell raiser for the right cause. And one day, more people going to appreciate what Kanye was sacrificing, because they just made Diddy a billionaire. They made him a billionaire. They made Jay-Z a billionaire. And Kanye probably still got more money than both of them guys, but they're going to make you believe that he has no money, that he's a fool for standing on his square, for having a moral compass and all that stuff. What's the point of having all that money? You can't help your people. You remember when Robert Smith, I ain't know who Robert Smith was, because he was no entertainer. He was no athlete. He had no name brand shoe out. But he did that speech at Morehouse a couple years back, and he made sure he paid off everybody's student loan debt. And people got upset. And people said that's too much power for one person to have, in particular a black man. Then y'all started talking about what his woman was white, but he had a black woman at first. He had black kids by a black woman, his first wife. All right. And I don't want to get into bedroom politics, because a lot of y'all talking about that, y'all can't speak, and y'all know who y'all are. You can't say, don't, I'm just saying. But anyway, soon as Robert Smith did that gesture to help these guys get a good start in life, a head start, don't you know, by him doing that and investing in them brothers, you help to create more black families, black marriages, black families matter. He was investing in them brothers to not only do great in their careers, but also have the luxury of having an actual family they could support without worrying about debt, student loan debt, being an albatross around their neck. And what happened? The IRS, the government, they went after him, right? He had to make a deal. They went after him and said, that's too much power for one man to have, especially a person that's not a celebrity. He's a businessman. A businessman. He made his money off of Wall Street, the same Wall Street that sold our ancestors. Like they were commodities, like cattle. I remember I went to Manhattan around the time of the Democratic National Convention back in 2016. It was in Philadelphia. I went down to Manhattan, where they had the African burial ground, where there was no building, the federal building, and they saw these remains of black people, and they tried to cover it up, but somehow the community found out about it, because the ancestors, they don't play. The righteous ancestors, they are working their magic right now. Never forget that all hurricanes start from that the western part of Africa, off the coast, right? It traces the path of the Atlantic slave trade. There's a reason for that. So the ancestors said, you will not ignore us again. So they built a monument to the bodies of the former enslaved Africans or black people that were found. But they try to hide that information. The powers that be, but the powers that be ain't that powerful like you want, that a lot of y'all believe. Like Malcolm X said, he said, the paraphrase, brother Malcolm, by the way, Donna West died November 10th, 2007. That's also the anniversary date of Malcolm X's amazing speech, Message to the Grassroots. I listen to that every year around that anniversary date, Message to the Grassroots. You can find it on YouTube. Listen to it, download it, share it with your people while you can, because they're trying to erase history. But Malcolm basically was saying that, hey, the Negro movement is controlled by the foxy liberal government, but the Black Revolution will be controlled by God. And if you believe that black people are God's chosen people, now's the time. It's due time. It's due time. So this is why it all falls down. Everything is crumbling down. The truth cannot be denied. And now y'all gonna have to be forced to deal with this truth. What Kanye is doing is beyond his control. You are being force-fed the truth of your existence. You have no choice. You are being force-fed this, and you have to deal with that situation, because you can't keep on reproducing willfully ignorant people. You gotta pick a side now. Ain't no way none of y'all can say, as much as y'all be passionate about Steelers and Cowboys and Green Bay Packers and football, you should be just as passionate about preserving your black life, preserving your children's life by any means. Y'all scared to say that type of stuff. But what I'm saying is, you can't stop truth. It's like what Dick Gregory was saying. When that woman's about to give birth, ain't no army on the planet that could stop that woman from giving birth. That's universal God creation. You can't stop that. So we're about to give birth to something that we have no understanding, let alone understanding about. So this is an amazing time to be alive. And y'all look at a lot of things wrong. Y'all too busy worried about what white folks think about you on Twitter when you should be more concerned about how you view yourself. Do you really understand who you are, understand who you are in these times? Do you have a moral compass that's your making, not what the group says should be your morality? Well, how do you feel about your morality? Do you understand that not only Kanye West is a brand, but you also a brand, that you're a corporation too? That you are responsible for your bylaws and for your existence? Okay, so I appreciate all y'all do. And so I thank you all that will donate and will continue to support what we're doing, because like they said, they're doing a lot of censoring on my channel over old videos, and we're going to talk about that because anniversaries are coming up. But like, yeah, Dr. Dunder West, she trained who she trained. She knew that she was making a goat, a beast. I'm a monster. I'm a maven. I'm a riddle, a problem that never be solved, right? So amazing. Yes, amazing. Come on, man. Kanye changed the game, man. Y'all don't understand what these people would do to break you. You remember when you had Suge Knight, Death Row Records, you had Irv Gotti, Murder Inc., and you had Jay Prince of Rap-A-Lot Records. They're trying to start a distribution company for black music. You know, I told you about, we got the Otis Redding anniversary of his assassination. Yes, I said assassination. It's coming up in December, along with Sam Cooke's. Otis Redding was trying to start a distribution company with James Brown. His son talked about this on Oliver Stone's son's platform several years ago. So you look at what happened to Otis Redding. Look what they did to James Brown. They tortured James Brown for decades. They had you thinking this man was out of his mind. I mean, yeah, he had his little thing he do, but he was a shrewd businessman in his own right. He had businesses that he ran, and that's what they do. But you see what happened to all them guys. Irv Gotti and his brother was facing some football numbers at the federal level. They beat that case, right? Suge Knight is in prison right now doing football numbers. Then Jay Prince was harassed by the government, in particular the FBI, for years. So they don't want black folks getting together and having anything or running nothing. They don't want us to be like some of the Jewish people in the industry. And we talk about this. Like, let's talk about Jay-Z and Diddy, Jay-Z, Jigga, and P. Diddy, right? Let's talk about that. They're both billionaires, right? They held a lot of money. They made out the liquor business, right? So they Jews, right? Because you think about, I talked about the Bronfman family from Canada, Canadian Jews who started Seagram's, very popular liquor brand, but they was in bootlegging. They used to do bootlegging with Al Capone and Joe Kennedy, patriarch of the Kennedy clan, Meyer Lansky, the Detroit Purple Gang, very notorious Jewish mob. They were notorious. That's how they started their family business. They got into entertainment. They brought Universal Vivendi. I don't know who owned all this stuff. Y'all look it up. But they brought it. You know what I'm saying? Even one of the Bronfman heirs got married and had kids with a black woman from New Orleans. A black woman from New Orleans. So they got into a business where a lot of black art and talent has been exploited for decades. Even if you look at the Civil War, right? Look at the Confederacy. Judah P. Benjamin. Judah P. Benjamin was from New Orleans or Louisiana. He was a Jewish American U.S. senator, but ended up seceding from the Union and became the vice president of the Confederacy under Jefferson Davis. And his wife was a mulatto, black Octoroon woman. So this is due to the Confederacy, a son of Confederacy, who was a Jewish guy. I also had a couple other heads in the government as well, too, from my understanding. And when the war was over, he went to England to practice as a lawyer. But even you look at Jefferson Davis, the president of the Confederacy, his wife was mixed. She look at the pictures of these people's wives. This is a guy who was the #1 Confederate, right? But his woman is all swarthy looking and dark and interesting complected. But I'm saying it's complex, right? People mad at Kyrie Irving, right? But the thing about it is, if you go to a lot of Jewish historical societies in places like Charleston, they tell the truth about Jewish people being involved in the slave trade. They tell the truth. Let me pull up something. Because people on Kyrie's head, they only on his head because he's trying to tell y'all some good stuff. It's like, it's funny in sports. Sports is another mother distraction. It's not even that important. Y'all don't have no problem that a football game is really 60 minutes. Y'all don't mind looking at a 60-minute game. It takes 4 hours to play. Basketball, 48 minutes, right? But it takes like 3 whatever hours to play. Y'all don't mind that because y'all been trained to be distracted, to have your attention span, your focus shortened. You think it's because you was born like that, but you've been programmed like that because it's weird. Like you look at TV shows, they get to a certain part, then it's time for a commercial break. They do that by design because TV is not about educating you. It's an idiot box. It's an idiot box for a reason because they're trying to sell stuff to you. They selling stuff that you don't really need. You need what? Food, air to breathe, water, and shelter, right? But they say you all this junk, you're going to become a hoarder, right? Because you've been programmed not to be focused. If you think about, I love Charlie Parker, the jazz great, right? Charlie Parker said he practiced for about 15 hours a day for 4 years to get that grade on the saxophone. And he was in the Ozarks. All I did was drink orange soda and practice on my saxophone for 11 to 15 hours a day. Imagine if Charlie Parker had Pornhub or social media. Imagine he had OnlyFans back then. You think Charlie Parker would be known as the great saxophone genius, or he'd been like out there playing with his other horn? Think about what I'm saying. Think about Thomas Jefferson had them type of distraction when they're trying to write the Declaration of Independence or all this stuff, right? See what I'm saying? Like we are walking billboards. Like even our phones, they hear our conversations. So you have all this stuff popping up in conversations that's related to who you was talking to on the phone. They reading your mind. It's where I be in restaurants. I be having a conversation with somebody, and then they'll play music that matches the mood or the subject of the conversation. I be telling people, y'all hear this shit? I say, what you talking about, Ron? I said, we just talked about this, and all of a sudden this came on. We were talking about your mom, and then Dear Mama come on. What's that about? Are we in a video game? Is this a simulation? So these are questions that should be asked, but can't, life is interesting. See, Kanye, a lot of people really mad at Kanye because he's living out his dreams. He's making his reality, his fantasies real. And a lot of us are afraid to even be ourselves. But he was trained to do what he's doing. He's trained. He's an agent for a different government, whatever. He's an agent for change in his own way. But my thing is, this is so liberating to be alive right now because we can have these conversations and not be afraid. Because if a guy's willing to lose $1 billion to be honest with you all, can we just at least be honest with ourselves? That we can't even, a lot of us are struggling right now to pay rent and gas is high, bread is high, eggs is high. You try to make decisions. Someone's making life and death decisions. Can we afford this medication? And y'all mad at Kanye. Y'all not mad at the government for inflation. Y'all not mad at certain entities, but y'all more mad at Kanye than anybody. How much sense did it make he's a celebrity? How he hurting you? It's folks in office y'all keep on telling us to vote for. They hurting you. They hurting all of us. But y'all keep on saying, vote, 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 vote. That's all y'all do. Is like, I can't even listen to y'all. I'm gonna start giving y'all the Charlie Brown teacher treatment. Some of you olders. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. So I'm saying, like, so we vote for 50, 60 years and got nothing for the vote. Y'all just happy. Y'all can hashtag Converse and Pearls. Y'all like that type. Y'all like that weird stuff. Oh, I like how he looks in the White House. Like, y'all talking about Obama. Lady said, oh, you fine, Mr. President. You still fine. Hey, she said, I'm fine. Huh? Y'all like that stuff. Y'all ain't look at the stuff he done to people. This man sent drones to people weddings. He's a drone ranger. They have dropped drones on a father and son who are American citizens. And y'all ain't even hear about this. Y'all don't care. Oh, he looks nice. Obama's a great president. He's nice and he's so well behaved. Obama is President Gangster Grills. Gangster Grills. Obama is like Steph Curry. Y'all worry about Bill Cosby, but y'all don't see a Steph Curry looking the guy coming. Oh, he cute and babyface. Don't be the main one, be some killers and some rapists. I ain't saying Steph Curry. I'm saying how we go on perception. Like they gave Obama deception, right? I ain't even getting into all that right now, but I'm saying the way we do politics is like, ooh, I think they like me. I think they like me. Ooh, I think they like me. That's not real politics. Real politics is about getting stuff done. Identify what you want and getting it done. That's real politics. Now, ooh, I think they like me. Twerk, 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 chirp, chirp, chirp. Ooh, 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 wee. Sticky, icky. So y'all not serious. Y'all worry about white folks hanging skeletons from trees when they still hanging black folks from trees. Y'all, man, that's offensive. That skeleton hanging from a tree, a fake skeleton. But y'all ain't concerned about Sandra Bland hanging from a jail cell. Y'all more concerned about, oh, they saying the N-word. Y'all say the N-word. Why? You still got black folks hanging from trees that calling it suicide. And it's like, YouTube been attacking my channel, taking down stuff that I did long ago on a black guy hanging from a tree in a white neighborhood. And that, oh, you believe in self-harm? Are you gonna harm? These videos are over 10 years old. I'm interviewing the sheriff, the county coroner, the state medical examiner. By the way, the state medical examiner I interviewed, Dr. A.L.L Shaker, he was the one that did the second autopsy report on Tamla Horsford, whatever her name is, a sister that was killed at all-white woman slumber party where she was the only darky down in Forsyth County. Ain't no way in hell that I'll be at a white slumber party in Forsyth County. There's like a real horror movie, Lake Lanier. Y'all worry about Jason and Michael Myers. They both scared of Lake Lanier. Michael Myers and Jason will have no dealings in Forsyth County at Lake Lanier. But I'm saying, and that's Oscarville. That's a drowned town. That's an all-black town that the white folks see. The real horror story is lynchings in this country, right? And I don't know what I'm saying, but I do know what I'm saying. But the dude that did the second independent autopsy, right, on Tamla Horsford, Dr. A.L.L Shaker, he did the autopsy on Freddie Jermaine Carter, the brother who was found hanging from a tree December 3rd, 2010, down in Greenwood, Mississippi. You hear me well. Greenwood is in LaFleur County. They found him near the same river where they pulled Emmett Till's body out of, Tallahatchie County. This is December 3rd, 2010. I ain't talking about December 3rd, 1955. I'm talking about this happened for the last, 12 years. I can't believe it'd be 12 years. But they pulled him out. This guy had the courage because Dr. A.L.L Shaker is a world-renowned forensic scientist. And he was also Mississippi's state medical examiner. This man had the courage because this guy, he did the mass graves exhumation over in Iraq during the Iraqi war, the second Iraq war. He was renowned for doing all these controversial, death autopsies and stuff like that. But he said that he could not rule it a suicide. It needs to be investigated. He said it's a hanging that needs to be properly investigated. And that cost him his job. By the end of next year, they ran him out the state of Mississippi. They ran him out the state. So this is the guy that did the second autopsy on Tamla Horsford. So where are all this power? Why haven't y'all got Warnock or Herschel Walker looking to what happened to Tamla Horsford? Y'all too worried about all this pageantry and theater and BS. Why haven't nobody down in Georgia? Why hasn't Stacey Abrams said, if you vote for me, I'll reopen the case into Tamla Horsford. We'll use all the resources to get the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. Not only will we look into what happened to Tamla Horsford, but also Kendrick Johnson. Y'all don't ask for nothing. Y'all want party and you know what, BS. Don't ask for it. You got the nerve to some vote and you still catching hell. Can't afford your lights and your rent. You talking about vote. Y'all vote for a cold ass fish sandwich and a half ass pork chop. Y'all so silly. I'm saying we silly. Cause all this busting your vein over Kanye and you catching hell. And Kanye ain't giving you the hell that you catching. You giving yourself that hell. But what I'm saying is, where are the black folks, so-called woke people in Georgia, saying that we're gonna vote for Herschel, we're gonna vote for Warnock, or we're gonna vote for Abrams. Forget all that, Al Sharpton with his permanent perm. If black man don't vote for Stacey Abrams, you insecure. Well, Al, no justice, no peace. No justice, no votes. No justice, no votes. No justice, make this go viral. No justice, no votes. All right? Where are these so-called civil wrongs leaders when it comes to Black lives really mattering? Okay, you don't want to give us reparations, but can you look into the Tamla Horsford? Can you really look into Kendrick Johnson? That's weird to me. That Kendrick Johnson case is weird. I interviewed Kendrick Johnson's parents as well as the lawyer they had at the time. I did that years ago. I'm always doing stuff. See, people don't understand. I'm not doing this for the fame. I'm not doing this for the fortune. I'm not making no money off of this. Only time I made some real money at this YouTube thing was 2016. That was the election year. Dick Gregory was still walking around, and that's it. And the IRS been on me. But anyway, this does not help me. I'm trying to help us. It's us. It's we as a people shall get to the promised land. We as the chosen people. But what I'm saying is, y'all don't ask for nothing. I look at new black media. Y'all talking about what so-and-so said and all this. This is crap. Where is the advocacy down in Georgia? If y'all gonna do a reparation rally, do one down in Georgia. Go to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation and rally in front of their building or whatever, or write to these political leaders, write to Brian Kemp. Y'all, well, Brian Kemp is this. Y'all weird to me. Y'all up here telling me y'all afraid of Republicans and conservatives, and politics is all about getting things done. I don't care if you're a purple can, or a blue can, or blue crack. I'm trying to get some tangibles, as y'all say. Y'all don't want no tangibles. Y'all just want a half-ass fish sandwich, cold-ass fish sandwich. I'm saying, like, where's Roland Martin on this? Where is all these guys, Tariq, all them? Look, why, if Georgia's so important, power concedes nothing without a demand. Demand that these people take Black lives seriously by investigating what really happened to Tamla Horsford and hold those people accountable. And investigating what really happened to Kendrick Johnson. And we know what happened to Kendrick Johnson, but let's put it officially and hold those parties accountable. Don't ask for nothing, don't get nothing. You get what you deserve. You get the leader that you support. You get the leadership that you support. But where is that real? I'm not going to drive anywhere to have a rally when you can make these points on social media, that you can share what I'm saying. You can cut it up, share it, or whatever. No justice, no votes. Y'all let these people love you to sleep. Y'all worry about George Floyd. He dead. No disrespect to the dead. George Floyd dead. And y'all angry about that. And Kanye didn't even kill him. Matter of fact, I don't think Kanye killed anybody in his music. Now he produced for people that talks about murder and mayhem, but look how quiet these guys are. They be pushing this stuff, and they so quiet when it comes to their friend and boss man being caught up in the whirlwind. See, I don't need friends like that. See, there's a reason why Dr. King was by himself on that balcony and got popped. Because all the friendlies weren't wearing ties. I mean, all the friendlies, yeah, they weren't wearing ties, and Dr. King was wearing a tie. So if Dr. King really had friends, he had a whole bunch of dudes on the balcony wearing ties. Operation Lantern Spike, okay? So I'm not looking at the comments right now. I'm in my freestyle. I don't do all that. Look, I don't do this for the fame. I don't do it for the fortune. I do it for the truth. I do it for knowledge of self. I do it to liberate yourself. You got to liberate yourself. I'm not responsible for that. What I'm doing is showing you how I do it. This is how we do. This is how we do. Okay? So it's very important because the people ain't talking about the right thing. You're not looking at things the right way, even in Mississippi. You know what? I'm glad. I know. Look, I'm in Memphis, right? I'm right by the Mississippi River, right? I am so glad. And I know it sounds weird. I am glad that the Mississippi River is having a drought issue that is drying up into a puddle, because now you're going to see all the black bodies that have been down there feeding all that catfish. That's why catfish taste so good, because all them black bodies in the Mississippi River. Y'all keep on talking about Ron talking crazy. The East St. Louis race massacre, Lane race massacre, all these massacres, all them black folks dumped in the river. Now you might see some bones and stuff coming up, like the Devil Punch Bowl down there in Natchez, where them peach orchids grow. I went down to the Devil's Punch Bowl. I haven't put out the video footage I did. See, I got a lot of stuff that I sit on. See, people be sleeping on me, man. I'm doing work. I'm not just talking about running my mouth on YouTube. I'm actually out there organizing people at the grassroots level. And I get no respect. And like Rodney Dangerfield, but I put a lot of people on. I put on for my city. I put on for my people. And I'm still here. And people trying to figure out how he's still here. I get a lot of dry haters and all that stuff. It comes with the territory. What I'm saying is the Mississippi River going to drop something. They're going to reveal all them black bodies. They've been there for decades and over a century. And I can't wait. They may hide it. They probably found some dead black folks in Mississippi River. It's been dwindling down so much. But they ain't gonna tell us about it. Just like they found them black people buried on the federal grounds when they was building the federal building in Manhattan. They tried to cover it up, but the righteous ancestors will not be denied. I'm even looking at a Netflix movie, a documentary about Africa Town down in Mobile. They said they found the Clotilda. I went to Africa Town, the Mobile, on my birthday back in 2016. I love hanging in cemeteries because the dead is never dead. The past is never past. And I be listening to the ancestors. They speak to me in my dreams. They speak to me in the middle of the night, early morning. They speak to me through songs. I embrace that. I don't believe it's scary to talk to people that went beyond the veil. They went to the other side because they don't go where energy don't die, right? So it's funny how everything is coming ahead now. You look at how the people in Africa Town have been treated by the powers that be. They got people with high rates of cancer down there because of all the pollution from these industries that's encroaching on Africa Town. See, it's not just Flint, Michigan, or Jackson, Mississippi. Black folks have been disrespected everywhere. I'm in Memphis. In South Memphis, we got the Kellogg's cereal company plant. And then you also is right in the vicinity of the old Army depot. See, my grandparents lived in that area. A lot of my family, that's near Castalia. Well, Young Dolph, you see how Young Dolph talked about his aunt just passed away, the advocate for the family. She just passed away from cancer. He was at that West Cancer Treatment Center out in East Memphis. But here's the thing, y'all got to understand. My people from that area, we from that area, but there's a lot of environmental racism in that area. That's why Young Dolph people got a lot of cancer, because my grandparents died from cancer, neighbors, cousins. We all in that area for decades, right? Because environmental racism, because you got the Army Depot, they drop chemicals into the ground and they never been accountable for it. So it's not just Flint, Michigan. It's not just Jackson, Mississippi. The whole world is a ghetto for people of color, for black people. Well, I'm saying that where there's a group of black folks at, there's a crime that's been committed. A great crime has always been committed where you got groups of black people in America. And then they'll remove these black people, and then the powers that be will make their fortune off that land. You think about Georgetown in D.C., that was a black neighborhood or community. You think about Central Park, Seneca Village, that were black people. You think about even Oscarville, that's Lake Lanier now, right? It's like a horror movie. But anyway, I'm just on a freestyle right now. I'm trying to touch the bases. But I was talking about Diddy and Jigga. They did what the white Jews did. They got into the liquor business, made their fortune. Now they're going to diversify their portfolio. That's what the white Jews did. They got into, bootlegging, Arnold Rothstein. Because people always talking about organized crime. They always talking about the Italians. Now it was the Jewish folks that showed the Italians how to do the organized crime. It was Arnold Rothstein who allegedly fixed the 1919 World Series. And it looks like in 2022, somebody's still fixing the World Series. So I don't know if Arnold Rothstein, but he trained the Italians and the Jews and the Irish. He was the godfather of organized crime in this country. Y'all talking about Lucky Luciano learned from him how to do everything, selling drugs. See, that's another thing. We like Lucky Luciano was an informant. Y'all do realize that, right? Y'all talking about no snitching. You got one of the top gangsters of all time. He was a big snitch. He makes Whitey Bulger look like a damn choir boy. Lucky was snitching on people before he became a big time El Capo de Tutti Capi. El Capo de Tutti Capi, the boss of bosses. He was snitching on folks. Matter of fact, it was a Jewish guy, Arnold Rothstein, that said, Lucky, we know you got a snitching problem. The best way to smooth that out with people is to invite them to these big time sporting events, like boxing events, give them like the best tickets, treat them on a night on the town. So there was a Jewish guy told him, Lucky, everybody know you snitching. They know you snitching, Lucky. So you got to clear this up, Charlie, and do right by these people. So, he was snitching when he was in prison. He was a snitch for the U.S. government. Think about how they was able to invade Italy back in World War II. They'll get intel from Lucky Luciano because he had his friend, his business partner, Myron Lansky, the Jew, helping him coordinate communication with the mob over in Italy and stuff like that. Then he was pushing drugs for the U.S. government. They deported Lucky Luciano, but he helped set up the French connection that brought drugs that flooded black communities in America. Think about all those jazz musicians like Charlie Parker. They're getting access to this heroin because the U.S. government allowed them to get access to this heroin because it was flooding the black inner city communities. This back in the 40s and 50s. So y'all blame the jazz musicians for being junkies, but our government allowed this to happen, as they always do. But anyway, but like Jigga and P. Diddy is following the blueprint of the Jews. So they Jews, they Jews, like we the chosen people, right? So they doing what the Jews did. They got into the liquor business to make their fortune. Then they diversified the portfolio. But like Lucky Luciano said, behind every great wealth, there's a great crime. And like what Chris Rock said so years ago, I mean, it's crazy to think about who would have thought at the beginning of this year that not Chris Rock, but Will Smith, Kanye West, and R. Kelly are all counseled. Allegedly. I don't believe they're counseled. But that's the perception. But Chris Rock said in one of his stand-up specials on HBO, he said if cigarettes were made by a black family in Mississippi with Jerry curls, it'd be illegal as an MF to have a cigarette. This is true. Because I mean, like, this is the thing. Every group started off in crime. Every group. You think about the Irish, the Jews, the Italians. They made a movie called Gangs of New York about it, right? Every group was allowed to legitimize itself except for black folk. You had look at the East Coast, you had the Italians took over the fire station, right? The Irish took over the police station. Yeah, the Jews get the garment district and all that, the unions and all that stuff. So I mean, it's interesting. Just study Tammany Hall, the powerful New York political machine back in the early 20th century, what they was getting down with. But they won't allow us to get anything. You look at Frank Sinatra, right? Frank Sinatra's mom was a very powerful political person. She was like a midwife. She helped deliver babies. And also she did illegal abortions. She did abortions on the side along with delivering babies. And his father was a former boxer who owned a drinking tavern. And then Frank Sinatra's uncles, his mama's brothers were gangsters. It's up in New Jersey and Hoboken, right? But also they understood they had access to the political machine. They were staunch Democrats and stuff like that. So they all understood how to pay. I mean, even during Prohibition, they was paying off the right people in order to operate. You understand? Because Frank Sinatra's mom was a short little thing, but she was very powerful because she did abortions for very powerful people, right? So she knew all where the skeletons were buried. She literally knew where the skeletons were buried. And she was a midwife. So, I mean, it's just, you look at how power is played out, but black folks, we're not allowed to organize among ourselves. It's like even you think about Casper Holstein, the king of policy, right? Casper Holstein was a black dude. He made his fortune doing the numbers back in the day. It's back in the 20s and whatever like that. Then the white mob figured out, in particular, is a guy named, Dutch Schultz, Arthur Flagenheimer. He figured out that them pennies and nickels were adding up to big fortunes for black people that ran policy. So I believe Casper Holstein was kidnapped. They let him go out. He paid his ransom, and he got the business. But they couldn't do that to Madam St. Clair Madam St. Clair, right? Queen St. Clair. Y'all seen the movie Hoodlum? It's a great movie, but it's factually inaccurate in some ways. But it's Hollywood, what you expect. It's a great movie. Lawrence Fishburne plays Bumpy Johnson. And then Cicely Tyson, the great Cicely Tyson, played Madam St. Clair. I think her name Madam St. Clair or something like that. Y'all, I used to know all this stuff really deep, but it was the Jewish folks that moved in on the numbers game in Harlem. It was Dutch Schultz. He moved in on it, right? And Lucky they didn't want to move in on it. They wanted to let the black folks have, but there was money to be made. See that when they leave us alone to our own devices, we're always making a way when they say, ain't no way, like that Aretha Franklin song, ain't no way, ain't no way, ain't no way. But we make a way because we are the alchemists. We are the chosen people. So we're making ways. I mean, they take out music education. We make rap and hip hop. That's what we do. We turn a deficit into a plus. We turn a liability into an asset. That's what black people do. But the thing about it is, Diddy, I know I'm over the place, but it is what it is. I'm freestyling. Diddy and Jigga, they pushing things that have poisoned our community. Even Jay-Z, I mean, he plays a character where he's a big time drug dealer, right, in his rap and his songs. So he even pushing that through the music, and also you making money off of people's addictions through the alcohol. Both of these guys. And yet the thing about it, like you look at Jay-Z, y'all always say, now Jay-Z one of my favorite rappers. I must confess, he's my number 2 in my top 5. He's my number 2 behind Tupac. I mean, Jay-Z is a great rapper. He's gifted the way he does, but I don't care for his business acumen. I'm not impressed with how he does business. It's like you sold out Brooklyn for the Barclays and you didn't get no money out of it. You basically was a mascot for getting black folks that have been in Brooklyn for generations to sell their brownstones. So you had these corporate white vultures move in and take over Brooklyn. And I love Brooklyn, man. When I go to New York, my favorite place to go is Brooklyn, the Republic of Brooklyn. Brooklyn is amazing. But you had black folks that was there for generations. See, Brooklyn is a very important hub in black history. It's very important to the narrative of black people in this country. Because when Ida B. Wells was forced out the South, when they ran her out of Memphis, and people said she was ran out of here. They said, we see you again, we'll kill you, we'll lynch you. So the first place she went was not Chicago. It was Brooklyn. Brooklyn had Ida B. Wells back. She went to Brooklyn, New York, before she went to Chicago. But people don't really tell that story. You got to read her autobiography and Paula Giddings' book about Ida B. Wells, the biography, to get some of this information they don't really tell, because we don't do a good job being stewards of our history. You know, like the thing about dying is you don't take everything with you when you die. You should leave some stuff behind. Because that's what a purpose-driven and well-lived life is. You leave stuff behind that others can use in succeeding generations, right? Yo, a lot of us don't do that. We more happy, man. I'm 80, but I look like I'm 60. Black don't crack, black don't crack, even on crack, black don't crack, even on crack, black don't crack. All right. This is like, we weird. We very infantile. We get older. We're not because we got dementia, but we never been allowed to really practice real self-determination in a system that determines that you're not worth too much of anything, but as a collateral damage and as something to be used to be exploited for other people's gain and profit. That's how they view black people. We are the real tool for white supremacy. And a lot of us, we against white, but y'all hate Kanye and y'all don't understand. Y'all talking about this code. Y'all can't articulate a code. I be trying to get people, okay, let's say we got a code, right? Let's say, if you don't know what a code is, let's use a 10-point platform the Black Panthers created, right? Or better yet, I remember I wrote the Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, and I gave her a We All Be Lifetime Achievement of Honor. She wrote me back a handwritten letter. And also she provided her code on how black folks should conduct business, how we should treat each other and all that stuff. And there's a lot of folks, they say they follow Dr. Welsing, but they don't follow her code. Or even Tupac did something with his stepfather, Dr. Mutulu Shakur. Free Dr. Mutulu Shakur. He's dying of cancer right now as we speak. And he supposed to been out 5 years ago. And they did a Thug Life code. Because y'all keep on, I remember when Tupac died, right? And you look at BT, you look at Janet Jackson and Tavis Smiley, they calling Tupac, he was just a thug. You know, and Russell Simmons, and I shout out to Russell Simmons, because he always coming through. He's on code. Russell called Tavis Smiley out, called him basically a sellout and an Uncle Tom. He told Tavis Smiley that. And then when Tavis had Russell on, I ain't gonna never forget this. Tavis had Russell on again. They did the interview. Nothing wasn't mentioned about him calling him out on Tupac. And then at the end, Tavis, you know how Tavis was. Tavis be all that, I don't know, stammering all his stuff he was doing. Maybe he had a speech impediment, but he said, brother, I just want you to I want you to apologize to me for calling me out, for saying no things about me, brother. You don't really know me like that. And then Russell defended, he didn't apologize. He defended his point of view, and that was that. And it probably helped Tavis along the way, because you see how he was vilified when he critiqued Obama. And Tavis was correct about his assessment about Obama. Y'all made it about what he's mad that he didn't show up at the State of Black America, because that was our Super Bowl. I used to use the State of Black Union. I used to love looking at State of Black Union. Like, to me, that was better than looking at the Super Bowl. Yeah, Baba Dick Gregory on there, Mr. Farrakhan. You know, these folks can talk. You ask them one question, they'll talk about 2 hours straight. Dr. Cornel West. But he was pissed that Obama could not make it because Obama was campaigning the first time around. And I think he offered Michelle to be there, but Tavis wanted the presidential candidate to show up. So yeah, I mean, he's human. I'm sure he was perturbed about that because he got mad about the Tupac thing that Russell Simmons called him out on. But don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. He was correct in trying to hold Obama accountable and trying to advocate for black folks. But instead, Obama chose Reverend Slickback, Reverend Slickback Sharpton to be his advisor on black people. So this is why we got what we got. Because instead of listening to critical voices, unpopular voices, like even Tom Joyner was mad at Tavis, and Tavis had a platform on the Tom Joyner show, but Tavis was correct in calling out the president or the future elect president, and a lot of black folks didn't like that. And so all we got is symbolism over substance when it came to our needs and wants. But then Obama delivered for the alphabet community. I mean, he's the first gay president, right? I mean, he came through for them. He said, well, I thought about it. First, I was against it, then I'm for it. Let's go, rainbow. Let's go, rainbow. Right? That happened. Now, I'm going to bring it down a little bit. So, with that said, I'm charging us to be more acute and aware. Instead of us running around, rally this and rally that, get into them books. Speak to some of the elders, not the olders. There's some good people out there that are elders, real elders is trying to help black folk. You know what I'm saying? Brothers like Mukasa Ricks down in the ATL. That was Stokely Carmichael's, Kwame Torre's right-hand man. Brother Mukasa Ricks, he's in pictures with Dr. King and Stokely. They laughing, walking down, completing the march against fear that James Meredith was trying to do. He got shot. So they completed it for James Meredith and for our people. And he was the cat that put the slogan Black Power in Stokely's ear. So Stokely did a powerful speech down in Greenwood, Mississippi, and he mentioned the Black Power, and the rest is history. But that was his right-hand man. If he's Jordan, Kwame Torre, that's Scottie Pippen for him. That's his wingman. But he told me in his home several years ago, he said, Ron, we didn't care about the vote. We were trying to bring attention to black folks catching hell down here. Our goal was to bring attention to our people catching hell. We was using the white media to do that, to get the message out. Because really the success of the movement was having the white media amplify what was going on, the black people, the fire hoses and the dogs and all that stuff. If the media wasn't there, a lot of America and a lot of the world would never knew a lot of these hells that black folks were catching. And we was catching that hell for generations and decades, right? It's like when the Mississippi River drying up, you're going to see all the bones in the valley. There's a lot of black folks that was catfish food in that river. If the Mississippi River could tell the tale, because he holds so many secrets. So this is a blessing to me in disguise that now Brother Ron said there was a massacre, and then they found the bodies of the people that were massacred during the Lane race massacre. They found parts of bodies. You know, so many stories. If these rivers and waterways and lakes can talk about the hell that our people caught. But it's New World water time. But what I'm saying with Jay-Z and P. Diddy, they're following the blueprint that the Jews that came before got in. I talked about Joe Glacier. Hell, you think about Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson said the same thing Kanye West said. He had Reverend Slickback next to him. And you saw Reverend Al. Look at that. I think it was at the Apollo, like almost 20 years ago. Michael Jackson was talking about how they were exploiting black artists. You know, this is Michael Jackson that owned Hell for the Sunny ATV catalog, which include the Beatles publishing and Elvis and Eminem, along with Little Richard and all them guys. He had Little Richard his stuff back, but he was talking about how Tommy Mottola is a gangster. And then soon Al started talking about, soon as Michael started talking the truth, you see how Al kind of backed away, like he waiting for somebody. Like what the Reverend Billy Kyle said, I got the way so they can get a better shot, a clearer shot. I ain't laughing at that, but Reverend Cal kept on saying that throughout the years. I got the way so they get a better shot. Like Al was waiting for somebody to do it, get your hands on my pocket moment on Michael. And that eventually got Michael because y'all really do believe y'all think that Conrad Murray doctor killed Michael. Why you gonna kill the goose that laid the golden egg? Michael Jackson was helping him pay his child support. Why I'm gonna kill somebody that's helping me get tens of thousands of dollars to pay my child support, keep me out of drama, out of court, out of prison. So now it don't make any sense. But even the tour name, This Is It. They should let y'all know they put they took out a big insurance policy on Michael. He was never going to complete that tour. It was no plan because he's at 50-something years old. I mean, 50-something is 50-something, y'all. You know, I saw that documentary with Dr. J could still dunk out to 60, but it's still like, you know, he gonna pay for that later. You know what I'm saying? But Michael is the GOAT. But Michael was telling the truth. And they like he was wacko jacko. Anybody that they I want y'all to understand this. Anytime they go out their way to make somebody look crazy, they're not really that crazy. Anytime they go out their way to make somebody look crazy, because really, if you're really crazy, you don't need no help to look crazy. Now we all kind of, I said Dr. King said human salvation lies in the hands of the crazy maladjusted. We all kind of a little off and quirky because you can't be on all the time because it's the environment that we live in. But truth needs no sponsors. Real truth needs no sponsors, need no co-signers. It is what it is. See, we are in the it is what it is right now moment, So also, and I stand by the fact that Kyrie, Irving, and Kanye are the Muhammad Ali's of this time. And Muhammad Ali was not appreciated in his prime. You had black and white folks that hated Muhammad Ali for taking the stand. And decades later, it came around. So there's a couple of things before I get out of here. And if you like what you're hearing from brother, I thank everybody who's listening, who's spreading the word, and who donated, who will donate in the future, and also donated in the chat section, and also hit their cash out R2C2H2. Hit the cash. I thank you, brother Howard. We love you, Medley. It came in just in time, man. And I see Chicago. I see you. Reach out to some of y'all over here. But you need to support what this is the stuff. If you like the content that I'm doing, because I'm fighting battles behind the scenes, I have no idea. It's spiritual warfare for real. Support what I'm doing so I can be encouraged to keep on coming on here instead of looking driving Uber, and when I could be on here talking to y'all about this information. So let me see. I'm gonna change it up a little. Now I'm gonna look for something right quick. I want to quote this because and I would suggest that everybody that film that Kyrie Irving spoke about, we all should watch it. We all should watch that movie because I think it's worth watching because it's another movie I always tell people to watch. It's hard to watch. It's called Goodbye Uncle Tom or Farewell Uncle Tom. It came out in the 70s. It's about what the hell that black folks went through in America, and it's based on primary sources like newspaper articles, like journals, and like other stuff. Like it talks about a lot of things that they try to sweep under the rug. And I mean, it's so much information. Man. Look at the director's cut. It's hard to look at. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's hard to look at. It is hard to look at. But I'm trying to find the Charleston thing. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Trying to look for a read by Charleston, South Carolina, because almost 40% of the Africans that came through America came through Charleston Harbor. I know a lot of y'all don't believe that no black folks ever came from Africa into America, but I believe that we was here too, but also we had some folks come from across the pond. Let's be real about it. Let me see. Like I talk about, okay, you get a lot of Jewish folks that benefited from the slave trade. You look at the Charleston Jewish Historical Society, they talk about it. The biggest slave owner in Charleston was a Jewish guy. In South Carolina, the biggest slave owner in South Carolina was a Jewish guy that was known for treating his slaves horribly. I was trying to look at this stuff up. I ain't have a chance to look up everything because I want to go live. I was in the mood, man. I said, let me just spirit moves you, get it done. Let me look it up. And so you can have this name, you do further research. They talk about at the Jewish Historical Society, like when Nation of Islam made that book, The Secret Relationship of between blacks and Jews, something like that. They use Jewish scholars to tell you about the Jewish involvement in the slave trade. So how are you anti-Semitic when you're using their scholars to tell you about their involvement and participation in the slave trade? And I'm just trying to get this right. I get the right name. And bear with me, because I'll be done for the end of the hour. And there's so much stuff to talk about still. Okay, now they saying that Judah Benjamin was the largest Jewish slave owner in the South and a key member of Confederate President Jefferson Davis' government. Like I told him, he was the vice president. This is a Jewish guy who was married to a Attn, a mixed mulatto black woman, right? And he was the biggest slave owner in the South, and he was a U.S. senator from Louisiana before the Civil War. I'm done trying to look up some names. So you had Southern Jews that fought for the Confederacy. Like I said, one of the most important political figures of their cause was a Jewish guy from Louisiana. I'm just trying to find a name. See, they play games on Google and whatever. Let's see. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna leave. But let me talk about. I just put that out there. We'll do another show on that. But let me talk about this brother right here. We are at the 50th anniversary of the Watergate scandal. And new black media, we need to step it up. I include myself in that. New black media. It's time for us to step it up. You see that brother right there? That's our good brother, righteous ancestor now. That's brother Frank Wills. Only in his early 20s, he brought down the most powerful man in the world, Richard Milhouse Nixon. I'm not a crook. Because he did his job as security guard at the Watergate complex. And he's not mentioned today. Now, they did that movie Gaslit about Martha Mitchell, and they do have him in the narrative, which is great. But he's the one that got everything kicked off. And they basically blackballed this brother. They basically like, you don't hear about Frank Wills. Even black folks, there ain't nobody no new black media talking about, well, Frank Wills, man, he was the real hero of Watergate. He even played himself in that movie, All the President's Man, with Dustin Hoffman and Robert Redford. Everybody, it's like everybody, even the criminals who went to prison for Watergate, everybody had successful careers except for brother Frank Wills. This man was forgotten about. He was maligned, marginalized, made invisible, but he's the real hero. But because he's a black man, he's from Georgia, he's from the South, from Augusta, and they destroyed this man's life. It's like he said years later, he said, had he known the trouble he would have got into, he would never have did his job. I'm paraphrasing it, but let's talk about brother Frank Wills. I think it's very important. It's very necessary. It's also necessary. And I'm going to show you an article I wrote about called The Outraged Negro. I think this article came out because Gerald Ford died around the same time James Brown died back in 2006 around Christmas. But this article came out a couple years later after that. But I said Frank Wills, not Gerald Ford, is the real hero of Watergate. The outraged Negro weighs in. Why is it that even the most mediocre or mundane of white folks get celebrated for doing a decent job, while the most exceptional people of color, black males in particular, seem to be maligned and in many cases go unrecognized, underappreciated, and in some cases even insane? Buddy Bolden and Josh Gibson comes to mind for their just due. Can anyone say Buck O'Neil, who was denied getting into the Baseball Hall of Fame by one vote while alive, but yet was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom posthumously 2 months too late? And they finally got Buck O'Neil into the Baseball Hall of Fame this year, I believe. This article is from way back. President Gerald Ford just happened to take advantage of a Forrest Gump situation when he found himself president some 30 plus years ago. And do you know why President Ford was able to become president? It was not because of the filthy rich news people known as Woodward and Bernstein, or because J. Edgar Hoover's deep throat specialist wouldn't swallow. It was actually because of Frank Wills, a black man who was doing his job as a security guard at the Watergate complex. He spotted tape on the door that was supposed to be secured several times while he was making his rounds. Sensing something wasn't right, he had the presence of mind to alert the Washington, D.C. police. If that man hadn't done that then, Nixon wouldn't have been forced to resign, meaning there wouldn't be no state funeral for the English muffin president known as Gerald Ford, because he wouldn't have been promoted nor voted to the presidency. How was Frank Wills awarded for his courageous act, you asked? Well, he played himself in the movie entitled All the President's Men, which also starred Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman as the crusading opportunists posing as journalists known as Woodward and Bernstein. After that, he took a job with famed comedian, activist, and entrepreneur Dick Gregory, also a good friend of James Brown, in the 80s, but still managed to die years later in 2000 from complications to a brain tumor, officially more like a broken heart and spirit in reality. Without a penny to his name in Augusta, Georgia. Ironically, the hometown of James Brown, another hardworking, decent black man, snubbed and downplayed by the legacy of Watergate in spite of all of his achievements. To add further insult to injury, he was convicted of stealing a $13 pair of tennis shoes in 1983 and served 1 year in jail. Obviously a setup. Frank Wills was so poor that he actually had to donate his mother's body to science because he couldn't afford to bury her. For most of the 90s, he lived without electricity or indoor plumbing. Frank Wills was like the Rosa Parks of the Watergate scandal, but unlike Rosa, he didn't have the support of the NAACP, and he wasn't looking to make a difference of such historic and epic proportions when he called the DC police to report a possible break-in. He was just doing his job with integrity. However, true students of history know the true history. Know that true history isn't made by one great person doing all the work, but by ordinary groups of people taking advantage of extraordinary opportunities. Even Jesus needed help in spreading his message. Disciples, Romans, Jews, and Mel Gibson, anyone? Frank Wills, whose decision to contact the law authorities had an immediate impact on American history, should have been treated as a hero for doing something that the Vietnam War protesters, and Spiro Agnew couldn't do. Getting the most powerful man in the world to resign for the errors of his ways. Like President Ford, Mr. Wills should have been given a lifetime pension for his patriotic deed, while pardoning Nixon, aka the Pete Rose of presidents, as a show of gratitude. President Ford should have made sure that Mr. Wills was taken care of financially. But instead, he was viewed as a bad nigger who took down and destroyed the career and legacy of a president who could have been one of the greatest of all time. However, if you look at everybody who was involved in the Watergate scandal in one form or the other, the Nixon administration, Woodward and Bernstein, even the burglars to President Ford, they all seem to have made out pretty well and were even more successful and financially prosperous afterwards than before the infamous break-in. Some, like Donald Rumsfeld and Dick Cheney, even had more than a hand in the current Vietnam War for this country, Iraq. So what is this crap that crime doesn't pay? It seems like what this history lesson teaches us is that if they killed Jesus for doing acts of kindness for the good of humanity, then what in the hell do you think they are going to do to you? Stop snitching so you can keep living. Rest in peace, Frank Wills, a true American hero who won't never be forgotten, even if they don't want to recall. So that was my I think I did this back in December 2006, around time James Brown and Gerald Ford died on Christmas Day, 2006. And I said, James Brown, one of his friends was Dick Gregory. And Dick talked about James Brown. I talked about how they target you when you try to do interesting things. Like James was complaining about hearing voices in his head. I think he had some dental work done. He thought he was hearing voices. And they probably could have did something to him. And now people saying that he was murdered that day. And his son-in-law claimed he was murdered, and they killed the son-in-law in his driveway. And the son-in-law, they did an article some years ago. I posted it some years ago, not that long ago, but James Brown's son-in-law was claiming that his father-in-law was murdered. Next thing you know, he was murdered. This is around the time I think CNN was saying that the case about James Brown cause of death was being reopened. I don't know what came with that. Nobody dies a natural death in show business, like my friend Jigga, the late great Emerson Abel Jr. used to tell me all the time. And he worked at Stacks and he would know. But I want to remember Frank Wills. I think he was just 24, 23-year-old guy from Georgia whose life was changed forever. He was a sacrifice for the truth. He did his job. And he was no billionaire. He was no millionaire. He was no thousandaire. He just did his job, and he paid the price for just doing his job. But I would like to see more of us talk about this brother. Man couldn't even afford to bury his mama. Dear mama. So I ain't gonna never forget that, brother. And you shouldn't either. God bless you, brother Frank Wills. We love you madly. So, and I'm gonna show them a picture here because man, they always trying to make our people like we monsters, especially black man. Like it touched on it in the Gaslit series on Stars with Martha Mitchell being played by Julia Roberts. Y'all should check it out. It's actually pretty good. And Sean Penn playing John Mitchell. I didn't even recognize Sean Penn. Really, Sean Penn looks so old. They didn't have to have no special makeup for Sean Penn to play an old man. But anyway, that's my opinion. Looking so old, but show the picture. Frank Wills with his cat. He loved that cat, man. So yeah, I'm just doing my job to get my people, feeding my people this information. Cause I don't see a lot of new black media folks talking about Frank Wills. I'd be having a lot on my mind. This one guy, this is like therapeutic for me to share this type of stuff with you all. So I think I covered really everything. I might not did the best job in covering things. I didn't have all my PowerPoint. I didn't have all the articles I wanted to pull up available. But it's actually been very fun. But yeah, but I'm gonna read what Donda West said about Kanye again. I think it's important. It's worth repeating because our anniversary of her death is coming up. And this is what she said, because y'all keep on saying, well, Kanye is crazy. He never been the same. Kanye is crazy like a fox. His mom knew what she was doing. And I said she ran the English communication, media, and theater departments at Chicago State for 24 years. And a statement from the university recalled West's role in establishing the university's Woodland Brooks Center for Black Literature and Creative Writing as an academic focus to teach writings of African-American authors and poets while fostering new literary talent. And the greatest literary talent she ever fostered probably be her son based on his tweets. But what I'm saying is this woman helped give her son the platform to do great things. She taught this man knowledge of self. And y'all say, well, he's sleeping with these women, Kim Kardashian. I mean, he has a right to make live his life the way he lives it. Whatever. I mean, he can't be everything to everybody. You know what I'm saying? People do what they do. But don't be so dismissive of what he's trying to help us see. And I had the pleasure of seeing Gwendolyn Brooks do some reading of her poetry in St. Louis when I was an undergrad. Good friend of mine, Sister Deborah Moore Loving, she was like another mother to me. She took me to the event where Gwendolyn Brooks read from her books and stuff. And like I think the next year she passed on to glory. So, but to read what his mama said, she trained her son for greatness. He said, "There is no room for shyness. I raised him that way to think critically and analytically and not be afraid to voice what you feel. I helped shape that. I think leaders are people who must do that." So, and also I want to play Dick Gregory stay on my mind. Dick be on my mind all the time. I ain't talking about that type, y'all. Y'all to get your head out together. It's just funny because his name, you know what I'm saying? It's just made for joking. But great man, nonetheless. And I just want to play a couple of things. I talked about Jay-Z. When Jay-Z and them went to that trip to Cuba, it's a lot of hurrah, a lot to do about nothing. But this is Dick. I'm glad I had a chance to document this because a lot of folks did stuff with Dick Gregory just for sensationalism. And I actually try to do things to be entertaining but also educational with Baba Dick Gregory. And I'm glad I was able to do that to help him get his message out before he passed on his final messages. One of the people, but I remember I was in Kansas City with him August of 2016. Saw him at the comedy club in Kansas City, Missouri. And I remember him calling me the next day. He said, "I'm more popular now than I was in my prime. And it's because of platforms like you put me out there. I just want to thank you, thank you, thank you." And then the next thing you know, almost a year later, he's dead. You know what I'm saying? Around the time he talking to me August of 2016, close to August 19th. And then the next thing you know, the next year he dead. So but we got, the video footage and all this stuff from Dick Gregory. He left a lot. Like I said, he left a lot before he went out of here. And we still are discovering a lot of different things. But I want to play, we talk about the Beyonce and Jay-Z going down to Cuba and about Dennis Rodman going to see the dictator of North Korea, right? So I want to play that and just put some food for thought for y'all about his take on that. And this We All Be News Free Dicks for the 21st Century.
It's like that old tramp dog over there in Cuba. Oh, but wait a minute. Do you realize 78% of Cubans is blacker than midnight? But you don't see none of them in this boy's cabinet. You don't see nobody with no authority or power. Who is Castro? I mean, who is Castro? And so when you stop and think, it's like everybody hollering and screaming about JD and his lady went over there first. Are you aware how close Jay-Z is to the president of the United States?
I mean, I don't have any idea. It's like he's pretty close.
He can go in and out anytime he wants.
Okay.
So there's no way him being that close to the president, he would embarrass the president. Out of all the places he can go, right?
Right.
He go there. Why? Well, the president probably sent him to take a message. When you looked at my basketball player,
North Korea.
North Korea.
Yeah.
And everybody think he's a fool. 5 rings in his nose. So nobody would expect he was bringing a letter from the State Department and the Pentagon, right?
Right.
Nobody would expect that. And so that's where the game is, huh? And then if you and I go to North Korea today, that's on our off-limits list, that's a felony, huh? How come he ain't in there? How come they talking more about Jay-Z going than him? And then after that thing started happening in North Korea, they started talking about blowing up this and blowing up that.
And that was Baba from the grave. Baba D. Gregory is Halloween Eve. So, righteous ancestors, NG never dies. Now, also, I want to play something we talked about. This is like we're dealing with weaponized celebrities, right? Yeah, y'all don't understand. You remember Malcolm? You can see this on YouTube still. I think when he did a UC Berkeley interview, he talking about court justice and whatnot like that. Things like that. Wait, man.
Very nice. Let's get right into it. 5 important topics.
Let's see.
Mike, we're gonna start with you. You have strong feelings.
Just try to. I got stuff going on. Let's see. All right, I had some stuff going on, but you talking about like these entertainers being court jesters. Like he talking about how is that black people are on a group of people that think that their leaders should be baseball players and trumpet players and jugglers and singers and comedians and stuff like that. And I don't think Malcolm saw Ronald Reagan coming. He was a B movie actor. Malcolm at that time. And Malcolm, and people try to say, well, Malcolm said this and that. But Malcolm type of dude, he'll say something. And then once he found out more information, he will correct himself. He will say, I'm sorry, I didn't know all the other details. Thank you for putting this in context. That's the type of man he was. He was an honest guy. And so you think about how we look at these people. Like, celebrities are used to pass along messages to world leaders and stuff like that. A lot of these people have background in at intelligence agencies and things of that nature. You talk about predictive programming in these TV shows and movies. A lot of these folks have backgrounds in government work. But anyway, I also want to play this thing where Baba Dick Gregory talks about Jay-Z responding to Harry Belafonte. They had a little beef. And I'll just play this. I think it's important. Yeah, I'm gonna close it out. This is We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century. We all be News Free Dixie for the 21st century. Okay.
But I know Harry Belafonte, I know one of your friends was very critical of Jay-Z, the rapper, for not being more minded in terms of his responsibility to.
Well, you see, you got to be careful who you mess with. You heard what Jay-Z said, didn't you?
I heard what he said. I won't get your take on it. I won't get your take about
No,
the
wait,
whole
no. Jay-Z said, at least I'm married to a black woman, huh?
I didn't hear that part.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yes, sir.
That is the debate, okay?
Okay, there is the debate.
At least I'm married to a black woman.
So Harry Belafonte's first wife was black, right? But you didn't believe that he was getting targeted.
Yeah.
You didn't believe that he actually being targeted by the government.
Yeah.
He had to leave him, I guess.
Yeah. So,
so they're winning for you, huh? Jay-Z won it. Okay.
I said, no, Jay-Z, you didn't say that.
Yeah, Harry Belafonte was married to a black woman at first, but he ended up getting divorced. I think she didn't take what he was saying seriously in terms of him being targeted by the government and stuff like that. She wasn't on the same page as Harry, and he let her go and got with a white girl. Get down, boy. Go ahead, get down. Get down, girl. Go ahead, get down. She take my money. Some stuff like that. And I'm in need. Trifling friend indeed. Gold digger. Way back of time. But I want to bring this up. I think it's interesting. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Okay. I'm just typing in some stuff. I want to bring this point. I think we're talking about some important things. Or I'm at least talking about stuff what come in my head. Trying to see. type in Harry Belafonte's manager, A. Richard Kennedy, who was an author, screenwriter, composer, publisher, FBI spy, record executive. And Harry Belafonte's business manager in the 60s. He worked for Frank Sinatra. And in the 70s, he left entertainment and started a psychotherapy clinic called the Center for Human Problems and was accused of practicing psychotherapy without a license in a cultish environment. So his real name was Samuel Richard Solomonic. Samuel Richard Solomonic. So that sounds like he was Jewish, right? This is Harry Belafonte's manager back in the day in the 60s, who was a government agent. And also he was the boyfriend of Elaine Brown, the Black Panther Elaine Brown. That was her handler, J. Richard Kennedy. Take a look, it's all online. So he was born Samuel Richard Solomonic in the East Bronx, New York in 1911. Raised in the Bronx, he was the son of Isidore Solomonic and Erna E. Solomonic. Okay. And his business partner was Stanley Levinson. Who was Stanley Levinson, y'all? He was an American businessman and lawyer who became a lifelong activist in progressive causes. He is best known as an advisor to and close friend of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., for whom he helped write speeches, raise funds, and organize events. So this is another Jewish person. But let me say again, Stanley David Levinson, sunrise May 2nd, 1912, sunset September 12th, 1979, was an American businessman and lawyer who became a lifelong activist in progressive causes. He is best known as an advisor to and close friend of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., for whom he helped write speeches, raise funds, and organize events. So this is Dr. King's lawyer, right? The guy that's putting that battery in his back, allegedly. And he was business partner with who? J. Richard Kennedy, another Jew guy, who was also a government agent who helped train Elaine Brown. So he's involved in psychotherapy. So he's involved in MK Ultra stuff, mind control, MK Ultra sex kitten stuff. Maybe Elaine Brown was dead. She talked about this guy in her book, A Taste of Power, her autobiography. She acknowledged J. Richard Kennedy's influence over her life. And I believe Elaine Brown was an inspiring singer. She got a decent voice back in the time. I think she was signed to Motown at one point. So you're dealing with weaponized celebrity, you're dealing with MK sex kitten stuff. I mean, it's just deep, y'all. I just want to make a point. So if I tell you the truth about Harry Belafonte's business manager, and then Dr. King's advisor and friend and colleague and supporter, and they Jewish, that made me anti-Semitic because I told the truth about who they were and their religion and all that stuff. So I guess telling the truth about stuff like that makes me anti-Semitic. But I didn't even write this stuff. You know, they did an amazing show. It's on YouTube still. That Harry Belafonte's manager at the time, J. Richard Kennedy, produced for television. This was after the historic March on Washington in 1963. So you had Harry Belafonte, I think Sidney Poitier, I think Charleston Heston, Paul Newman, Marlon Brando. You had the who's who. I believe they had James Baldwin. I don't know. But you had a lot of elite people talking about the effects of the March on Washington. And it's on YouTube. It still should be on YouTube. But J. Richard Kennedy, Harry Belafonte's manager, actually produced that show. And I think it's about 30 minutes long. They actually showed this on TV. Let me see if I can find it. And then I'm gonna have to say good night and thank you all for supporting me and for hanging out with your friend, brother Ron. About to make the lights go low, but I had to be on show. I just needed to do the show tonight. I think some YouTubers upload this video. So I'm just typing in stuff because, like, you do research and stuff, you try to figure out shortcuts. You know, I type in certain keywords. Yeah, I'm gonna show it to y'all. I ain't gonna show it to y'all. Okay, I'm gonna show you the page. This is what you look for. Cause y'all can look at this yourselves. I'm not gonna play it tonight. But I just want to point y'all. Because Dick Gregory said I'm the feeder, so I got to feed my people this information. This is what it's called. I'm not sure the audio. But it's the Hollywood Roundtable featuring James Baldwin, Harry Belafonte, Sidney Poitier, Charleston Heston, Marlon Brando, some heavy hitters, man. This is right after the March on Washington. They did this about 30 minutes long. Y'all need to check it out. Take a look. It's on YouTube. Take a listen. And this stuff is powerful, man. It's like they filmed this yesterday. But this is what y'all talking about. Well, these celebrities and stuff, like, Marlon Brando put a lot of money behind the Black Panther Party. Jane Fonda raised a lot of money for the Black Panther Party. This is an Oscar-winning James Fonda. This is Oscar winner Marlon Brando. He spoke at Bobby Hutton's funeral. There's footage of Marlon Brando speaking in Bobby Hutton's funeral. The Black Panther, they got killed by the police like a day or two after Dr. King. I think it was a day or two. And don't crucify me, y'all. Don't say, well, Brother Ron, you got the date wrong, so you invalidate everything you was saying on this podcast. No, I just want y'all to encourage y'all to take a look. I might know the exact date, but maybe I want y'all to research that for yourselves. And we do know that it was a Japanese American that was one of the co-founders of the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. He was an FBI informant and an agent provocateur. He was the one that had the gun connection for the Panther Party, but he was a government agent, and he killed himself not too long ago. So I'm gonna give y'all that y'all homework. Find out about this Japanese American who was one of the co-founders of the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense in Oakland, who actually was an FBI agent, provocateur type of cat, who ended up murking himself, committing suicide. I think the truth was coming out about him. This is around the same time where revelation was revealed about the great civil rights photographer from Memphis, Ernest Withers, being an FBI agent or informant. And that's really complex. They got a documentary coming out on PBS in January, I think, called The Picture Taker. And I'm friends with his son and his daughter. The daughter runs the Withers Gallery on Beale Street, and his son runs the historic home of Ernest Withers out in Whitehaven area. And I'm on friendly terms with both of them. I've been knowing Ron Withers for a long, long time. Shout out to Ron. And I know his sister for a minute too. They good people, but they they got their own ways of honoring their father, and I respected both sides. But yeah, check that out. But J. Richard Kennedy, Harry Belafonte's manager, organized that TV show, and he was a government agent, MK Ultra type stuff, and he helped train Elaine Brown. And people say, "Oh man, Ron, you just putting out here." No, Elaine Brown talked about her relationship with J. Richard Kennedy in her book, A Taste of Power, her autobiography. What's crazy? I met Elaine Brown. She actually spoke at and did a book signing at the St. Louis Urban League, which was ran by my late cousin and late great James Buford, who was the president of Urban League. So it was one of the most well-ran and most and best endowed urban leagues in the country. And he raised like over millions and millions of dollars for that urban league. And they had like an amazing art gallery where I did my, my official professional first one-man show. And Elaine Brown spoke at the gallery. I still have my work hanging up because the curator, Cookie Jordan, shout out to Cookie Jordan, she wanted to leave some artwork up for the Elaine Brown talk. So Elaine Brown spoke at the gallery. She's talking about the case for Little B and all this stuff. A brother, juvenile offender down in Georgia. It's like he was getting railroaded. She was an advocate for his case. And I talked to her and took a picture with her. I was much skinnier back then, like green. My eyes, I was smiling wide, and Elaine Brown just enjoyed my artwork. I said, "Oh, this the Elaine Brown." I didn't know too much about, and I knew about her work as a Panther and all this stuff. I kind of heard about the rumors and stuff, but she kind of confirmed it in her autobiography. But anyway, yeah, check that out. The round table. I think Real Black got got the video up on his page. Shout out to Real Black. And I guess that's it, folks. I mean, I can keep on going on. There's a lot of information I can share. I'm just gonna keep it short. And I think I covered everything in my title. Oh, like the Diddy and Jigga curse, right? Because you think about Jay-Z, right? Jay-Z did an album, he did the best of both worlds with R. Kelly. He did Watch the Throne with Kanye, and both of them been canceled this year, allegedly. I don't believe they've been canceled. But I still listen to both their music. It's on rotation heavy, especially Kanye right now. And also you look at, Jigga, I mean, he's a mascot for white capitalism. Like I said, he brought the Barclays Center into Brooklyn, And basically he helped bring, he brought in, he was a Trojan horse for gentrification in Brooklyn. He didn't make no money off that deal with the Barclays Center. He's not impressive as a businessman at all. And also you think about, he had that deal with Prince before Prince died, right? What's going on with that? Then you look at Diddy, and the Diddy curse is real. But you think about, he had that event, that AIDS fundraiser at City College, and like 9 black folks got killed, 9 people got killed. Kind of like it was like a blood sacrifice or something. Heavy D was one of the organizers. Heavy D is gone now. Andre Harrell was his boss at Uptown. Andre passed away recently, gone. His baby mama Kim Porter, I think he used to date Tupac back in the day. She died in suspect circumstances. They said she was gonna write a tell-all book about her life with Diddy and all this stuff. And you remember he had A.L.L Sure breaking down on Instagram or whatever, crying about what happened to Kim Porter. What really happened? Then A.L.L Sure is allowed, Diddy to raise his son and all. It's weird. Look at the Biggie situation. I mean, I think he got Biggie's publishing in one of his son's names or whatever, and then Biggie daughter said what happened to her partner. He ran over some people. I think he ran over a woman and a baby and some other folks, whatever. But I mean, she don't control her dad's legacy. She don't have no access to that. Then Mrs. Valetta Wallace, she tried to take on the LAPD for the truth. And he knows elements of the LAPD was involved in the killing and cover up of what happened to her son. But they had to railroad that case because it would have bankrupt LA. You know how, I mean, if you never been to LA, y'all hear what all these rappers get. LA is scandalous, man. I always tell people, if you want to know like a little bit of how LA is, look at the movie LA Confidential. It's a great movie with Kevin Spacey and Russell Crowe and all that. It talks about the LA from back in the 50s, but LA always had that vibe to it. I mean, LA to me is weird because I'm from the South, and even white folks here think you got a little bit of sense. But like there's like some snobbish, elitist, blue blood type of how they treat black folks. That's the vibe I get out of LA. I like LA as a foodie heaven. LA is great, it's beautiful, the women beautiful, people are unique, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, even the homeless people could be glamorous out in LA. They be sunbathing on the sidewalks in Hollywood. I mean, like, it's different being homeless in LA versus being homeless in Chicago, Milwaukee during the wintertime. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, yeah, LA is an interesting beast in and of itself. But yeah, but Biggie get killed. He supposed to been over in England. Puffy urged him to go to LA. Should have been over in England. Then all the people that work with Diddy, G-Dep turned himself in. I don't know what type of demons he was doing. He killed somebody. He didn't know he killed him. He just turned himself in. He rather face jail than Diddy. Prison. You think about people changing their religion, finding God. Mace, murder Mace. Mace to me, he's the blueprint for Drake and some other cats. Mace led them, showed them the light. He helped save Bad Boy when they lost Biggie. Mace wrote rhymes and lyrics from P. Diddy, from my understanding, but yeah, he don't have control of his publishing. He said Puffy owed him $3 million at least. Think about Loon. I need a girl. Like he said, I need God. I don't need a girl. I need Allah. So Loon became a Muslim. Then you look at what happened to Shine. Diddy basically threw Shine to the wolves. Then you think about what happened to Big Wolf, his bodyguard, longtime Diddy loyalist. What happened to him? The BMF thing where him and Big Meech dusted up down in Atlanta. Then Wolf and his partner got killed. Suspect. You even think about Suge's best friend getting killed at the Jermaine Dupri's birthday party, which led really to the, what went on with the East Coast, so-called East Coast, West Coast thing. You look at Tupac, you look at, Diddy involvements with the Crips for security out there, and how the Crips are claiming that they shot Pac on all this other stuff. I don't know, man, but it's like everywhere Diddy goes, death follows. Like Craig Mack is dead. Black Rob is dead. These guys help establish his brand, help save his brand, help keep him relevant, and these cats are dead too early, gone too soon. So I think a former Bad Boy employee, he wrote a book about his experiences at Bad Boy. I started to read it. I haven't finished it, but it's a hell of a read. And I don't, the people, y'all know who the guy I'm talking about. He worked on a production team at Bad Boy. He wrote a tell-all book about his experiences at Bad Boy. But I'm saying you making a deal with the devils, you know, and look who trained Diddy. He had Andre Harrell. He no longer here, but Clyde Davis is still here. Think about how many people Clyde Davis worked with. They no longer here. Think about Whitney Houston. He still has his pre-Grammy party when Whitney Houston was laying dead ass naked in her suite at the Beverly Hills Hotel above his pre-Grammy party. Even Shaka Khan said, I can't do this. So it was Shaka Khan that told the truth about how Whitney was really addicted by her brother. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't Bobby Brown. She turned Bobby Brown out on stuff. Because the way Whitney was marketed, you think she was an all-American, you know, like she was from the hood. You know, and her mom, Sissy Houston, used to sing for Elvis Presley. And I still got to do the show about Elvis Presley and his relationship with black musicians because there's a lot of misinformation about that. And I'm from Memphis, and my mom and them, they love Elvis. I mean, you know, Eddie Murphy, that was his biggest hero, Elvis Presley. So he like to suppress things. And we also could be fair about it. We talk about Otis Blackwell and other people, Big Mama Thornton, but it's very complex. But I want to do a podcast about it. I want to do it in the Jimmy Lunch for Jim Reef Festival week, but I've been busy, man. I've been like all over the place, but I've been on the scene. Black grassroots do matter. But I think I talk about enough because you know Jigga. Think about Jay-Z. You know, it got R. Kelly. He was able to be relatable to R. Kelly because allegedly, you know, Jay-Z got with Aaliyah too, and allegedly he got with Foxy Brown. I believe Foxy Brown allegedly said that Jay-Z was messing with her while she was underage. So I mean, you know, birds of a feather. You know what I'm saying? So, but why is Jigga Teflon Don? Why they can't touch Jay-Z, or is he next on the menu? You look at Delonte West. Been having problems ever since he messed with LeBron's mom, allegedly, when they was teammates, allegedly. I don't know if it's true, but look at how they doing Delonte West. What's going on? Is he a targeted individual? See, these are topics for another day, but I just want to make y'all think because I'm a thought provocateur. So I'm just 2 hours and gone. But let's look into all of the Diddy curse. You can Google up the Diddy curse. But is Jigga curse too? Is that a Jigga curse? But anyway, thank y'all for bearing witness to me. Let me say, and thank y'all who all donated in the chat about because sometimes I miss people's names. Like I said, I'm not really focused on the chat. You got the moderators. Thank to the moderators if you showed up. Thank y'all. We love you, Matt Lee. Thank for all the patient listeners. I know I'll be all over the place, but I come to a conclusion eventually. And it's been crazy, man. But if you love the words from Brother Herb, while you still can, subscribe to the YouTube channel, We All Be TV. Could Cash App your support, $ R2C2H2. That's Cash App R2C2H2 because it's the first of the month. I need some rent money. Come on. It's the first of the month. Almost the first of the month, but I wouldn't say that. And we're not against rap. We're not against rappers, but we are against those. Okay. But rest in peace, Reverend Calvin Butts. You was not wrong at all about a lot of things that relates to rap music. Just like the late great C. Dolores Tucker. And I'm a big Pac fan. I love Bone and all that. But as I get older and I see how my car is being done and how people are catching hell, yeah, that music got to be modified some type of way. Something got to be done. But anyway, you can Cash App your support. Let me read. LA is too big to be put in a box. No, stereotypes are based on truth, though. I went out to LA and like I went to Watts and I saw the Watts Tower. When that sun was going down, I got my ass out of Watts. LA is big. And that's why it take like 30 minutes to an hour and a half to get everywhere or anywhere in LA. But I like the traffic better than I do Atlanta. And people look at me like I'm crazy. But I think LA traffic actually moves to me. Like Atlanta's like it'd be like traffic jams on Sundays while people in church. It'd be so congested in Atlanta. But I love LA. You know how I feel about you. So let's stop playing these games. But you're right. I'm not, LA is good. It's great. It's big. But some of that stuff is true about LA. I'm just saying. Okay, I'm just looking through the chat, y'all. Trying to get y'all do. Thank you so much, Screen Recording God. We appreciate you, Brother Ron. Brother Ron Brown. Whoa, don't put that on me, man. You put Ron Brown, brother Ron Hurd, and breast that ancestor Ron Brown, because you know what got him was, I hate when people do those movie things. Like Ron Brown was the Secretary of Commerce for Bill Clinton, and he was about to face some jail time because he basically was Bill Clinton's, I guess, alleged bag man for China. All this stuff about the Clinton's administration relationship with China, how they was getting the money, the payoffs. They came out when Al Gore was running for president back in 2000. All that came out then, but Ron Brown was Bill Clinton's bag man, and he got caught in a situation where him and his son was facing prison time. And I think Ron Brown went to Bill Clinton at the White House in the Oval Office and basically threatened Bill Clinton, say, if you don't protect my son, I'm going to expose you. I'm going to expose my connection to you in dealing with China. Next thing you know, he was on an airplane that was supposed to be for Hillary Clinton. They gave it to him at the last minute and it crashed. Now, it was people that survived the airplane crash. It was like one of the what's her name? Airline stewardess. She survived and she was going to make it. And then when she got airlifted to the hospital, on the way to the hospital, they broke her neck or something happened where her neck got broken because she was about to pull out. Then the air traffic controller, the guy on the ground, he saw a lot of things he shouldn't have saw. They killed him too. And then they act like the weather was bad. Now it did a lot, but like it was Dick Gregory, the forensic people that did the autopsy for Ron Brown. They reached out to Dick Gregory, provided him with the photos. They showed what appears to be a bullet hole in Ron Brown's head. And right before all that was about to come to head, then the Monica Lewinsky thing happened. And people forgot about Ron Brown, but they got a footage of Bill Clinton at Ron Brown's funeral laughing. And then when he saw that the cameras were on him, he stopped laughing, which is interesting. So now I'm not Ron Brown. God bless him, and never forget what they did to Ron Brown. Yeah, because like you look at it, I think about Diddy now. Because Kanye talked about how Kim, he didn't know that Kim had a close relationship with the Clintons. Look at the Clintons' body count. You know what I'm saying? People connected to the Clintons, they all end up dead mysteriously. Kind of remind me of Diddy. You know what I'm saying? And he said, vote or die, right? Vote or die. We'll kill you. Because you're nobody till somebody kills you. That's a lot I can talk about the Clinton thing. I ain't going to talk about it right now. Now, you good. I'll just, what you did, you provided a teaching moment for me to talk about Ron Brown, because a lot of times this so-called new black media, they don't really try to educate. It'd be more about sensationalism and gossip and BS. But you gave me a chance to talk about Ron Brown. And Ron Brown was like one of the first Pepsi advertisements geared toward black people. When he was a child, he was putting in a Pepsi advertisement that was geared towards black people. And the guy that put him in the Pepsi advertisement geared towards black people was the brother-in-law of the one and only Dr. T.M. Howard. He was the brother-in-law of Dr. T.M. Howard, the wealthiest black man in Mississippi, who trained Medgar Evers and his brother Charles and Fannie Lou Hamer, leader of the Regional Council of Negro Leadership, and the guy who put up the money to investigate what happened to Emmett Till. He's the reason why we know a lot about what happened to Emmett Till, because he had the courage to put up the money, and he was the one where Mammy Till stayed at his home in Mountain Bayou in his mansion with round-the-clock security protection. Dr. Howard was no joke. But anyway, message received. Maybe one day in person. To live in, love in L.A. It's the place to be. Got to be there to know it. It's more than chicken and waffles, you see. Something like that. Anyway, thank you, Luna. Let's see. Yeah, but you got to think about it, because if J. Richard Kennedy was her boyfriend and he discovered her and then molded her, guess what? She's got to be a government agent. And she talked about it in her book, so I'm not going to be facing no lawsuits. She talked about it in A Taste of Power. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Yeah, the whole thing since the 60s was to break up the black family, and mission accomplished. High abortion rates. How many black folks been murked before they got here? Yeah, y'all talking about with Latinos, they the biggest minority. They don't really abort. They don't get rid of their fetuses like black folks do. You know, it's all part of the plan. And I think it's still more black folks than they really counted in the census. Yeah, I mean, it's all about divide and conquer with our people, man. White power is divide and conquer. Black power is unity and solidarity. Well, let me I want to thank everybody who donated and donated. Yeah, he didn't like me. You know, the thing about it was he used to tell me, like, Ron, you a Royal Royce. You know, Royal Royces don't Royal Royces. Let's go. I can't Royal Royces don't belong in the hood. You can't drive around the hood in a Rolls Royce. So he was trying to step my game up. But a lot of times y'all think that's like, oh man, he was disrespecting. But that's his way, man. Because really, it wasn't really about me. I was just the punching bag for everybody else. I was willing to be the sacrificial lamb for his frustrations and anger, because he'll go off on me and say, how's the family? And then he'll treat me to dinner or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's always, I respect you a lot, da da da. But you know, it did bother me when I was younger. And now I look back on this and I thank God, because a lot of y'all can't take no criticism. A lot of y'all ain't made for what I'm doing. I mean, I take a lot of abuse from the public and from people, a lot of betrayal. You know, it is what it is, but you gotta, he taught me you gotta be lovable. In spite of all you go through, be lovable. So that's the key. Yeah, I know he liked me. He wouldn't waste his time with people he didn't like. I already know that. Trust me. But I'm gonna read these. Like, I think y'all, whoever people that donated on this platform as well, and people will continue to donate. Cash App, $R2C2H2, PayPal, Zelle, and Google Pay, R2C2H2 at gmail.com. Venmo your support at R2C2H2. And also, I don't know, man. Like I said, they trying to just run me off this platform. They don't want me to make no type of money, even if it's a donation. But let me also do this before I get out of here, because I used to have a screen. I mean, I used to have my screen shelf below my description box. I don't know if they move it, because sometimes I look on my phone, it exists, and I look on my laptop, it ain't there. But if you want to support the artivist by wearing artivist art, you can do it. Go to our official spring page, R2C2H2 place. And you get all that art. I'm a man of many talents, or whatever. What you think about? You can go to our Teespring, official Teespring page, and check out the art. I know a lot of people ask about, how can I get a shirt? You go through this way. And I got more shirts coming out on the way. It's been working these grassroots and watering the grassroots and make them grow. There's a lot of artists, large selection to choose from. So there you go. Support Black art. Black artists matter. Black art matters. We all be in it to win it. And also, I don't know about that. Let me get that out of the way. Yes, to live and love in LA. Yes, great marketing campaign. Okay, so yeah, this Teespring, I'm gonna pin it in the chat. Okay, never mind. I can't pin it over here. But anyway, thank you for being patient. Let me read my disclaimer. I'm out of here. Why you read the disclaimer? Because it's weird. Trust me, it's weird. I'm gonna read the disclaimer. I hope the information I shared, if it could be of use to you, use it, man. Because all about information is power. Disclaimer: the views expressed by hosts and guests on the We All Be TV platform are not the official views, opinions, beliefs, or perspectives of We All Be News or the We All Be Group Incorporated. We All Be News is an organization that thoroughly believes in supplementing the information narrative that is usually supplied by the corporate news entities with those viewpoints and expressions which may be marginalized or ignored for a plethora of reasons. We are about informing the general public on alternative perspectives as it relates to news and information, and letting the general public be the ultimate judge in deciding on how to use said information. Informed citizens are responsible citizens. Thank you for your support. Thank you all who donated, donate, and will donate and keep this going. Words of great Duke Ellington, we love you madly. Y'all keep on producing. Shout out to the moderators and donators and the people that are really appreciators. We love you madly. Take care.